Hello team, welcome back to another Line War cast. This is a 1v1 between Desobnerin in blue and Valathor in red on seed 105,875. This is not from the 1v1 league that is going on right now. This was just a game that Desobnerin and Valathor played against each other. Two very good players, and it's Desobnerin is going to spawn on the left-hand side, and Valathor is in the center here going for a cross pick, picking this little body of water as one of the territories. So there's two groups of infantry on the southern island and then three to the north. It's an airport right away for Desobnerin after this town, and helicopters from blue as the first unit. And actually, Desobnerin also went for a cross pick here with this one group of infantry on the far left island. It's actually a kind of nice island because there's a decent amount of industry, three of which are not in the mountains, so they build a little bit more quickly. And then this town with a port on it as well. See that transport boat on the dock that Desobnerin has built, and then following up with the factory and the barracks with the non-pre-construction money. And Valathor in the center going for two barracks and one factory, going for artillery pieces right now. We'll see how quickly Red decides to switch into SAMs, if that's the plan at all. And I'm personally interested to see if Red is going to build a dock. I suspect the answer will be no, to start the game, in the early game, that there will be no dock from Red. And after that first artillery piece, it's a SAM that's going down on the factory. I know that some of the feedback it seems in Discord is that some of the units are difficult to figure out what they are at first. Over time now I can just like spot this as a SAM all the way zoomed out. First helicopters done for Desobnerin. It's probably going to be more helicopters after this. And that is what we see. And a second transport boat. I wouldn't be surprised if Blue decided to make a different type of boat here, like a destroyer or a missile boat. Might even go for a cruiser. But this is a destroyer that is going down for Desobnerin. Blue's certainly going to have the first boats up, and Valathor does decide to build a dock here. There's a lot of water territory that's easily capped, so it's a bunch of income in general, and then top down you can see that it is a scroll wheel, there we go. Top down there's a lot of water here, and the body of water is all connected, so any boat can really get from all the way to the left side of the map all the way to the right hand side. This body of water in the top left is not connected, it's just a little lake. But the point being that docks, I think a dock on this map makes a lot of sense. Neither player is going to be able to get up these trade routes very easily, because the trade routes all end kind of in the center of the map. Valathor will be able to control this town and port. And so Desobnerin won't be able to finish any of these trade routes. And then same thing for Valathor. It'll be very difficult for Red to actually take one of these towns and ports in the bottom left to complete the trade routes. And I guess it's just a slow build-up in this game. First destroyer is almost done for Desobnerin. Some SAMs on the way for Blue and more helicopters. Second factory, and income-wise, it's 477 income for Blue and 400 for Red. Valathor is still sitting on a decent amount of money though, so waiting to decide what to invest in. And so for now, Valathor is just building some industry, these two towns, or these two farms, pardon me. And first boat for Red is a missile ship. The missile boats will be really helpful against the helicopters if the helicopters for Blue fight at all over the water. Missile boats in general have a very tough time, or sorry, helicopters have a very tough time dealing with missile boats in any meaningful numbers. The transport boat for Valathor on this blue move command is going to go all the way down to the south. And then presumably it's going to pick up some of these infantry here and then ferry them across along the bottom. And note of the airport for Valathor, I guess we don't know yet what it's going to be. since it's still under construction. This is Blue's vision. And then same thing for Valthor. Red I mean, both players saw the picking phase, so at this point, Red knows sort of where Desobrin is, and Desobrin, same thing, knows where Valthor is on the right-hand side. And if we go top down, generally the player in the center has a little bit of an advantage because, you know, they're in the center, they can expand more easily to all parts of the map. And depending on how far up here Valthor gets, it's, you know, Blue gets confined to the left-hand side of the map, this left third. And then red would take the rest. There's that transport boat that's complete. And more eco from Valthor. Income-wise, 557 for Blue and 544 for Red. First contact is about to happen. This transport boat is going to run into 2 destroyers from Blue. The destroyers from Blue very easily can take out this transport boat. It would need to turn around immediately and then haste move command out of there. But the plan from Desobrin is this landing. The shortest distance between these two land masses, this is where the transport boat is going. It's good for Blue because it's a short enough distance that one transport boat in general will be able to efficiently get all these units over to Valthor's part of the map. This is the haste move attack command from Desobrin with these 2 destroyers, and it's a very good pickup. Tracking down this transport boat is actually a relatively big deal because it strands all these units here. It just makes it so that Valthor can't actually get to the left-hand side, which can become a huge problem for Desobrin. With a forest and a mountain here, this is a decent spot for some producers to be built and like a proxy base for Red. So very fortunate pickup for Blue to destroy that transport boat. It's helicopters from Valthor as well, not a huge surprise. Helicopters being like the meta airport unit to build. Because they don't have to land on the airport to refuel. They're very mobile. And in the right hand's probably the pound for pound, like the best unit in the game, I think, in a lot of ways. But that's up for debate. Of course, that's the wonderful thing about Line War. These helicopters for Desobrin are getting close to the coast. The plan clearly is to send them across this body of water. And the deal is helicopters can land on any controlled territory, like allied controlled territory. So once Desobrin actually caps this, the helicopters would be able to land here and then get into the fight very quickly. And the helicopters will be close enough, they might even be able to just snipe this refinery. Which will stop all of Red's helicopters from moving and all the Red boats. Valthor's going for a cruiser out of the dock and expanding very well on the right-hand side. And income-wise, 707 for Blue, 756 for Red. But of course, the big question right now is, can Valthor hold on to this location? And if not, what is the plan for Red? There's not really a lot of pressure that Red is putting on Desobrin from the north quite yet. This very forward factory is, I think, a very good move, a very aggressive move, and there's no real way that Desobrin is going to be able to destroy it. But numbers-wise, Desobrin has a huge advantage in the south. Red's gonna drop back and dig in. And instead of targeting the refinery, Desobrin's gonna target the factory. And the play here is to make sure that Red doesn't get a lot of SAMs up. Because as long as there's no SAMs here, the helicopters really get free reign. There's not a lot of infantry. Infantry with small arms fire can also attack the helicopters. You'll see that here when this thing looks up and turns its back like that. But the SAMs are the dangers, the helicopters. So destroying the factory, even when one SAM gets out, this is still very good for Disabnerin. You can see that Valthor actually moved these infantry back to try to get underneath the helicopters to do some damage, but it's just the perfect amount of helicopters. It happens so quick. There's no real way that Valthor was going to be able to save that factory. And because the helicopters land so close, they're going to be able to get back into the fight very quickly. They might attack this refinery, they might just click on this barracks. The one SAM in the forest in entrenchments is very good, but it won't be able to take on 5 helicopters. Red very wisely moving around the entrenchment for the most part. The defensive bonus for units is entirely negated once you're behind like 105 degrees or something like that, or of the defensive line. Either way, if you attack from the side in general, the units don't get that bonus, and the artillery pieces in the forest outrange the infantry and the entrenchment. So slowly Disarmament is going to lose that position. But if you're blue, you probably don't care because this is going so well in the south. There's even 2 SAMs over that have been transported by that boat. And one of the unfortunate things about helicopters, because they will land so close to the fight on an allied territory, sometimes they land right beside 2 SAMs. The black plumes of smoke that we see out of Red's boats is because there's no more energy left for Red after this refinery was destroyed. And yeah, you see the plan from Disarmament. It's sending the helicopters immediately to the next refinery location. They're gonna fly over this one SAM. You can tell that blue can't actually see that there's no refinery here. But usually one of the best things you could do when you destroy your opponent's energy is to try to make it so that they stay on no energy. And you can see Valthor's already made a little bit of an adjustment, not building any airplanes or boats so that there's no energy producing units. So in general, I'd imagine that Valthor's not even going to build any refineries anywhere on the map. There's more eco going down for Red. And then this will just turn into a pure factory and infantry game from Valthor. 2 barracks on this bottom little island for Disarmament are really good. Blue will be able to cap all this back. But it will be a very strong push in the north from Red with its 5 barracks and 1 factory super close to the front lines. And if Red can break through this little line of resistance, then there's really nothing stopping Red from pushing all the way to like the heart of Disarmament's base. Blue continuing to eco, and actually an eco check is very important. 961 for blue, 1055 for Red. And I think backing up here is the best bet for Disarmament, just to buy some time. I think in general, with how many more producers Valthor's throwing down here, these 2 barracks are in a lot of trouble, no matter what. But now, can Blue buy enough time to actually cap all of this back? Disarmament confirms that there is no second refinery at that, I don't know, like further back refinery location. And you can see why Valthor stopped building energy producing units, because there's actually no energy well on this northern part of the map. The only 2 that Valthor had access to were down here in the south, and that's obviously not going to happen. So in some ways it's almost like an all-in play from Red, and it's going to be, I think, a pretty strong all-in. If all these units get grouped up together, more factories going down, and then we saw in the top right, this is where a lot of the eco is going to come from. There's still some more industries that can be built. There's a port that can be built. So there's still a lot for Red to actually build economically. And Valthor won't fall too far behind. I mean, Valthor right now has the lead economically at 1045 total income. And I say that, it's 1053 now for Desobnerin. So very close. Both players making about 300 per minute, which is that sweet spot of economy. The general rule of thumb of what is healthy. And all these units, once the defensive line sort of breaks, the units get a little bit derpy. You can see this artillery piece, it's taking a while for it to actually get in the defensive line to start shooting. And occasionally these infantry behind it will make it derp out and stop shooting and bump around. So that's a good thing for red in this situation. We don't really need to see the line commands, it's just an attack move from red. Straight down the center, and here comes this clump of infantry. You can see the way that Desobnerin is going to respond to this. It's only 2 factories and 3 barracks, I guess 4 barracks that are really feeding into this compared to the 5, 6, 7, 8 barracks soon to be for red and then 3 factories. Love this play from Desobnerin here. After clearing out this dock and now capping all this territory on the right hand side, there's nothing threatening these transport boats from going across, and it's going to open up a second front. When in reality what it's going to do is it's going to make it so that all of these producers are going to push from the north, and then all of these producers at home are going to try to defend this landing from Desobnerin. I think it will be quite strong over time. It's going to be a lot of helicopters and then 3 barracks. Some amount of these infantry are going to be able to head over. The rest are going to cap. And we saw that Valthor was move commanding a unit down to the bottom right, presumably to build a proxy base. And try to maintain a little bit of a foothold on that southern part of the map. The boats for Desobnerin are quite nice. They at least stop some of these artillery pieces, and any red unit that gets too close to the coast is going to take a lot of damage or just in general get caught up trying to attack the boats, and that's why you see Valthor takes this attack move and pushes it further to the left. Red will take out this second barracks. It's not going to be super pretty, but it will get done, and Desobnerin you see building some producers behind the front lines. It's very close to the front lines. And just on pure amount of units, red might actually be able to get here before this barracks builds any amount of infantry or any meaningful amount of infantry. But really, if you're Desobnerin, I mean, you want to build these producers as close to the front as you can, because this is a huge problem to deal with. You can see Blue's vision. It's very clear that Valthor is going for a very dedicated push. You could tell that already just by the number of units that there are. But this is very good. It's all SAMs from Valthor, backing up these 3 SAMs for now to dig them in. I think this is the wise choice. If the SAMs move forward, they'll just get eaten up by all these helicopters. There's probably more helicopters on the way. Yeah, there is, in a second dock for Desobnerin with plenty of energy to actually run all these planes. 1348 eco for blue and 1047 for red. And I think both players know that as long as Desobnerin can hold on in some capacity on this part of the map, then the game is over. Blue will just continue to take all of this in the bottom, all of these water territories. And so far so good for Valthor here. Not even allowing Desobnerin to cap even one territory. This is a super interesting game given the starting. It kind of illustrates just how important energy is and how you got to change like the whole setup if you can't secure any energy for yourself. But infantry and artillery with a mix of SAMs, very strong comp. Then Falthor just keeps going, leapfrogging these producers ahead of each other. There's certainly enough SAMs here to deal with 3 helicopters. And there's not much room left for the Sovereign to fall back or to dig in anywhere. Losing all of these producers isn't really an option. And you can see how intense it is. Is this... I want to see if this transport move... Okay, so it is going to be a reinforcing move. I don't know why this transport boat isn't picking up units. It's a mystery. But I think that this really shows how concerned the Sobnern is with this push. It doesn't really help Blue that this transport boat is super derping. I imagine the reason why we saw the command get redrawn is because for whatever reason that one transport boat wasn't going across. Based on numbers alone, you can tell that Red has more than Blue. The defender's advantage is kind of kicking in for the Sobnern the further that these red units get away from the producers they came from. But there's so many SAMs. The blue helicopters really aren't going to be all that effective here. They're going to pick out some of these artillery pieces in the front, and this is a lot of damage. It kind of evens it up a little bit, but it's a very costly trade if a lot of these helicopters die. I'm not sure that the Sovereign had a choice, though. This is a big deal. If Valthor overruns this, then the game is over, even if the Sovereign stays on the rest of the map. This is that one territory that Valthor backed up to. Over time, we would see a producer get made there, but already Valthor's starting to eco in the top right again. Which makes me feel like Red is very convinced that this fight is going well. I suppose also it's because Valthor's not making that much money at this point because of all these producers at 1077 total income and 1498 total income for the Sobnern. I did see it when it went down. There is a rocket for the Sobnern. It's about halfway done. It would do devastating damage to all these producers. It's very close. Valthor doesn't see this, of course. Rockets have added stealth to them as a building. But it's still some amount of time that it's going to take this rocket to build. And can Red break Blue before the Sovereign launches this rocket? Blue certainly has enough money to launch one rocket. Would be able to launch a second one as well. Just somewhere there'd have to be some producers would have to be turned off momentarily or briefly to get another 500 money. Here come the last 2 helicopters for the Sobnern. And this landing is kind of nice. I mean, it stops some of the units. They kind of focus on these blue infantry. I think also the infantry, the objective was to destroy the SAMs. So Red very wisely just mixes the SAMs into the main army to get all the coverage from the artillery pieces and the infantry. Rocket is 2/3 of the way done. And with all of these barracks now that the Sovereign's been able to put down, I think Blue is going to hold this. I wasn't sure if Blue was going to be able to hold this, but I think Blue is going to be able to hold this. I think it's a very interesting move in this game, though. Like, the speed at which Red decided, okay, no more energy, so this is the play now. And I think most players would have been caught by that attack. 1568 income for the Sovereign, 1109 for Valthor. Still in the positive, still making 76 a minute. The rocket is nearly complete. And these two little armies are going to fight. Blue definitely has more. And when the red boats are out of energy, those blue boats are going to win that fight for sure. You can see it really stalling out at this point. For red, it's just, I mean, 6 barracks, or 7 barracks rather, that the Sovereign put on top of this. GG. Well played both. Very interesting game. I suppose it was a little bit shorter. I feel like there was a lot of action going on in that one. And my apologies if I'm throwing the camera around all over the map. But if you have any feedback for how I cast the games or anything you want to see, I mean, it's always appreciated in comments. And thank you for the support in general. Thanks for liking the videos. Of course, commenting on them as mentioned, and then subbing to the channel. All helps the channel grow. AI hype, it sounds like it's soon. As of doing this video, there's an alpha test for AI. It's a closed alpha. But you know, at any time now, who knows when it's gonna drop? But very exciting. Well played to both the players, and check out the Line War Discord if you want to learn more about the game, ask questions, just chat strategy, whatever it is. Hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, wherever you are. Enjoy. Thank you, folks. Peace.